To bring us updates on stories trending around the world is Bimbai Mutingiri Ekpeyon, who, of course, is here with us.
Still on duty. But glad we have Ayo back. We can have let's do a French greeting.
You have to do a French greeting. Good morning, Vice Ayo. I like your scarf. So good to see you.
Oh my gosh, Ayo. Let's get straight into it and let's bring you some of the stories that have been trending. Now, this is something we've discussed at length already, but due to the importance of a story, it's important for us to bring a spotlight to it. Now, in a dramatic U-turn from official statements discrediting a kidnapping to confirmation that 177 people have in fact been kidnapped from Kurmin Wali, Kajuru local government area, Kaduna State, the nation is still stunned. Bandits on Sunday, January 19th of this year, abducted the worshippers from 3 different church services, with 6 captives escaping miraculously. Now, here's a recap of the first official statements that had been made by the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs for Kaduna State, Sule Shuaibu, and the local government chairman, Dauda Madaki, following reports that a mass abduction had taken place.
We have discovered, and it is categorically confirmed, that the issue that is coming out from there is totally false. And as government, His Excellency does not tolerate this kind of false narratives. And so we are here to make it abundantly clear to members of the public that the narrative from the Kajuru area that people have been kidnapped or whatever in the like of that is totally false, is not tenable, and we do not have any evidence of such.
On reaching to the community, things were moving normal. We visited the church, the same 2 churches. There was no any evidence that shows that, yes, there was an attack. And then we find out from the village heads, Lanzaria, who confirmed to us that, yes, everything is going normal, and that they were bandits because 3 days ago, the military forces has chased them around Agula Mountain, and they were passing by. So, and I asked them, what are the names of those that have been kidnapped? Did they have, they could not find any names for me. So to the best of our knowledge, nobody in Kajuru local government from that village is in the hospital as a result of this, say, attack.
Well, I know on social media they would say a few moments later. But truly, on Wednesday, 22nd January, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokum, finally confirmed that the incident had indeed occurred. However, the Nigeria Police Force has dismissed reports suggesting inconsistent communication, and this is what the force public relations officer, Benjamin Hundeyin, had to say.
So let's be very specific to what the Commissioner of Police said. At no point did the Commissioner of Police say there was no attack. If you listen carefully, the Commissioner of Police said information was received that there was an attack, and immediately the police mobilized personnel to that place to find out what was really happening. And as at the point they got there, there was no eyewitness to say something happened. The people they met in the communities said they did not see anything. One of the people abducted escaped and came out and was able to confirm that this happened. And shortly after, we also got names of people that were actually abducted. So the moment this concrete evidence came up, we owned up to it, and we felt, and we know it's a duty, our own duty, to update Nigerians. And that was exactly what we did. We made no attempt to cover up anything. So we came out to issue that statement to say, yes, we now have evidence that it was an attack.
Well, the Governor of Kaduna State, Uba Sani, has of course since visited the area, and he's requested for the presence of a military base, along with making sure that the state will support the families of those affected by this. But Ayo, let me start with you. You know, you intentionally put those videos together because I remember watching the screen when they were saying this report is untrue. However, Associated Press, Reuters, international media had gone to print with the story. And local media it was starting to come out, but there were concerns because, of course, the first thing you do is you verify your story with the authorities. And the authorities said they totally debunked it. Anyway, this is where we are now. Your take on how events have unfolded in just 48 to 72 hours.
All right. Well, thank you. And I'm glad that, to be balanced, you brought out that video by the spokesperson of the police saying that it was misconstrued. Unfortunately, we've seen this happen a number of times whereby a statement or they would make a gaffe and then it will come out to say, oh, you didn't understand what we were trying to say. What he actually meant was X, Y, Z. Irrespective of what happened, the truth is that there was almost a denial, I think that's the right word to say, of the incident happening and what they had called for. And I don't even know if this is standard procedure whereby because the community members said that, in fact, when this happened, they raised alarm with the police immediately. So they're quite taken aback to hear them say that, oh, it didn't happen. So I don't know if it's standard procedure to ask for evidence of names of people kidnapped before you're able to verify a story. I can understand the cautiousness of the police commissioner because of what's happened in recent times. Remember, we're still trying to survive or live off the fact that in Kebbi State, we had the issue with the numbers, how many people were abducted or kidnapped, how many people were not kidnapped, who were the numbers released and so on. So maybe they're trying to save that kind of situation from happening to make some form of excuse. But because we've also seen this happen a number of times whereby authorities deny certain things that have happened or try to downplay it in order to manage the situation, you can understand that this might actually have been what has happened. And earlier on I said that we need to stop doing this because it erodes public trust in authorities. Meaning that if they say something, we need to go and check again to see whether or not it was true or not. We don't need a spokesperson to explain to us what somebody was trying to say to tell us what the truth is. But let's see how this can be better handled since we're looking forward in terms of solutions. The Governor of Kaduna State, Uba Sani, has demonstrated true leadership in the way that he has responded to this. Number one, like I mentioned, I'll just reiterate again, was a sense of ownership. He mentioned that the responsibility of his government was to protect the lives and property of the people in Kaduna State. The authorities can take a playbook from this, take responsibility. The second was a clear action plan. What we must do, number one, is that we cannot continue to allow this to happen. We have identified these areas as hotspots for kidnapping. What we'll do is to work with the Minister of Defense to ensure that we put a military base there to prevent this incident from happening. The other thing he talked about was infrastructure development. He said we're going to fix the road leading to that place to ensure that they had, they were able to control it security-wise. One of the things we've continued to talk about, particularly for the north, in order to prevent this incident, is to provide infrastructure for them. Road, water, light, education, ensure that the people are well looked at so they don't feel marginalized. So these are some of the things that we want to see going forward. Can we stop the denial? Yes, it looks bad. Yes, it's embarrassing. Whilst we are fixing the issues or tackling the issues, can we be upfront to the people, even still whilst managing the language, but giving them hope that we are dealing with this, we're on top of this, but it did happen.
That's right. And Dr. Abati, should there be any consequences for the local government chairman who said he went to the area, everything was cool and calm, and there was no sign or trace of any incident? Or should that also be forgiven as human error?
Look, I think there must be some provision in our laws to punish people who shamefacedly, recklessly, brazenly lie to the Nigerian people, because it's become some standard culture among public officials to tell lies. This was an attack in broad daylight. We were told that the attack, bandits arriving on motorcycles at around 11:10 a.m. last Sunday, attacked the Ekwa Church, attacked the Cherubim and Seraphim Church in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. Now, some families, like the Amos family, had 13 people abducted. The Musa family had 6 people abducted. Incredible. Another family has 16 persons abducted. Can you imagine? People going to church, a whole family going to worship on Sunday, and then you just take all the members of the church. The eldest person abducted was 71. The youngest person was 6 years old. Now, the Christian Society Worldwide Network, CSWN, they said when they heard about it, they rushed to the place. but they were not even allowed to get to the community. They were sent back by government officials that there was no problem. And then, of course, the human rights groups then insisted. And that was when the truth came out. And it was the police that now came later and said, no, it is confirmed. 177 persons, elderly women and children, were released. 11 people escaped. And now we are hearing 166 or 167. And this happened exactly 1 week after that same community had paid 25.3 million ransom to get some people who had been abducted previously. So I think government officials lying to the people, there should be punishment for it. Yes. And that's why Riley Moore, I don't always agree with what he says, as a parachute interventionist in Nigerian politics, was right in saying that the remaining people should be rescued. And I think Mr. Peter Obi is also right to have said the people who denied, now where is their evidence? Now that the truth has come out. But the bottom line, of course, is that nobody should be abducted in this country, whether they are in church or they are in mosque or they are in the mosque or they are at home. It still reminds us of the crisis of insecurity that we all face.
Absolutely. And we end this story with this tweet from Peter Obi, who says, since it has now been confirmed that over 150 worshippers were kidnapped from churches in Kaduna, where and how did those who denied the incident initially get their information? And since those who deny threatened to punish the people said to be spreading falsehood, who now faces the punishment? In any serious country, this would trigger decisive national action, clear communication, and visible leadership. Leadership is not only about grabbing power, but it is also about presence. It is about speaking when citizens are hurting, acting when lives are at risk, and showing clearly that every Nigerian life matters. Now, while we await the safe return of those abductees, we do hope that there will be consequences for those who did not act in line with their constitutional duties throughout the process. Now, let's go to Enugu State, where the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Wednesday handed over the sum of 1,234,350,000 naira to the Enugu State Government. The said sum was recovered from Sujimoto Luxury Construction Limited for failure to honor the agreement between it and Enugu State in respect of contracts for the construction of 22 smart schools in the state. Now, if you remember, a petition had been lodged against the company, which prompted the EFCC to declare the MD wanted, alleging that the Enugu State Government paid a total of 5.7 billion naira as advance payment for the construction of the 22 smart schools, but that the contract completion deadline of January 2nd, 2025 elapsed without meaningful progress. You can see the images of what was done with that money on the screen. Now, reacting to this on social media, Nkeru writes, recovering the money alone is not enough. There should also be full accountability on how it will be used for the state's development. Now, Youth in Process also tweeted and said, in the end, the Smart School program was compromised and stalled, creating serious sustainability gaps due to unprofessional conduct. As usual, it is the poor who bear the real cost, while Sujimoto and the government walk away without consequences. Well, it also should be noted in this that Enugu State went ahead with completion of some of the other smart schools in some local government areas. They are functional and they've been commissioned. But Dr. Abati, is this enough? Again, it seems there's a culture of a slap on the wrist. The money has been returned. Is this where this case should end? Okay,
I'll be very brief because I think I'm interested in that, your next story.
Okay.
Very briefly. Look, we have a culture in Nigeria where contractors collect money. They don't deliver. That's a major issue here with regard to Enugu State. Enugu State said the contractor was given an advance fee to deliver smart schools. But when this issue first came up, the project never went beyond the foundation level. And it was at that point that the Enugu State Government raised an alarm that this contractor has collected money. He has missed the deadline. He is continually giving excuses. And so this is standard contractor behavior. Contractors coming to give excuses. But I think we should commend the Enugu State authorities, Governor Uba and his men, saying, this is the money of Enugu State people. You cannot come and collect it. Now, even Governor Uba came under fire because the people of Enugu State and the whole of the Southeast, there were commentators who were saying, why will you take our contracts in Enugu State and go and give to one Yoruba man when we also have contractors? So the thing became ethnic, it became political. So, but at the end of the day, the Enugu State government insisted that the government would get its money back from this uncooperative contractor. And the EFCC has helped them to get the money back. Now that money, I think it should be seen as very good news that it has been returned. But there should be further questions about contractor behavior. How these contracts are also processed. What gave the contractor the audacity to collect money and not deliver? Are there officials of Enugu State Government who did not do due diligence and allow the people, the money of the long-suffering people of Enugu State to get into the hands of, a contractor who will not deliver? These are questions. The second question will be, yes, it's not enough for EFCC to collect the money and return back and say restitution has been done. No, that behavior itself, where it can be established there is guilt, there is an attempt at fraudulent practice, whoever may be involved, must be sanctioned. That also is important. And then the third thing, of course, is for the Enugu State Government to make sure that this kind of situation does not arise again, because it's not good music to the ears of the people of Enugu State to hear that a particular contractor has collected money and did not deliver. However, the other good news is that the Enugu State Government has gone ahead to complete most of those contracts. But it's a wake-up call that proper due diligence should be done, and contracts should not be awarded on the basis of sentiments.
Okay, shall we go to our next story? Please, just one sentence.
Yeah, very quickly on this one, because you asked a very important question around, is this enough? And I believe that in the interest of the fact that this is the commonwealth of the people, it is not one man's money, it is the money of the Enugu State people, especially in light of these new tax laws where people are talking about now being very involved in governance. There must be accountability for every single penny spent. I recall that when this story came out, the contractor himself released a video, emotive, and got a number of people crying. People were coming out to stand in solidarity. And now there's a forfeiture. We don't want in the future to say that, oh, the forfeiture didn't mean he was guilty or not. Let this case be seen to its true conclusion, including prosecution where any party is found guilty. In the interest of the contractor himself, in order for the preservation of his integrity and for people who want to do business for him in the future, I want to imagine that he also wants to clear his name if he's innocent. And so this should be seen fully, because this is also, let this not be a trademark of the EFCC. We love that we are seeing all these high-profile cases, but beyond just forfeiture or payment back or restitution is the fact that people who are found guilty should pay the penalty as a deterrent as well to people who want to do this later on. So we're glad that 1.2 billion has been recovered, but beyond that, let us see this to the end. Let us stop this, oh, he has given back the money. No. If you do this and it's criminal activity, then you ought to be sanctioned. Absolutely. And there ought to be punishments for this. I would say that.
The EFCC certainly started 2026 on a busy note. Now let's go to another story that has really got the entire nation talking. Dr. Adedeji Adeleke, father of Afrobeat star David Adeleke, of course, Davido, has moved to clear the air over the renewed paternity allegations involving his son. He's accusing a Nigerian blogger of being behind the social media pages circulating the claims, despite multiple DNA tests showing a 0.00% probability of paternity. Speaking during a press briefing in Lagos on Wednesday, Dr. Adeleke said he decided to address the media to counter what he described as persistent misinformation. According to him, the child's aunt, who resides in Abuja, contacted him directly with messages stating that neither she nor the child's mother was responsible for the online posts. He alleged that the accounts used to push the narrative were being impersonated by a certain Nigerian blogger while providing evidence of message exchanges between himself and the girl's aunt supporting the claim.
Like I said, I have 14 grandchildren. So what will one more do? Is it that I will not be able to afford to do things for her or bring her into my family? But there's science, DNA. If you say you are my granddaughter, and the sign has proven that you are my granddaughter, I will gladly accept her. This was the first DNA. This is the original copy that I was given one, and the grandma was given another one. And at the end of the whole story, they wrote here that probability of paternity, 0.00%. And the mom asked the lab guy that, what does this mean? He said, it means that David is not the father of this child. And she was really disappointed. She broke down. She was crying, the grandmother.
Now, we know that Dr. Adeleke is not one who, courts the public eye often. So this just goes to show the gravity of this case, that he's now had to come to the media to address this. Ayo, let me start with you.
Let me start with you, because it's Dr. Batu's story, so I'll just do very quickly on this one. I mean, this is the downside of fame. Especially, we've seen it's not just in Nigeria, whereby people want to pin children on certain celebrities. Sometimes it comes out that it's true. Other times we've seen whereby women just want to do this. And in this case, we saw this blown up by a blogger who said that, Anu, okay, let me not mention, the person in question, I mentioned her name, but the person in question is the child. Now, I want to just apologize to Dr. Adeleke. What will make him come and hold this kind of... He doesn't need all this. He's a well-respected man in society. He's an older man who should be enjoying his children and grandchildren. But he felt this was essential to protect the name, that they've worked really hard to preserve, the Adeleke name. And he's presented facts. He hasn't just spoken. He's presented facts and said that he has 14 grandchildren. And we've seen him in the past, welcome grandchildren from different women, from his children. That it's not a problem. It's just that it is not true. And I believe that this should be an opportunity for people to desist from trying to use ways, calculative ways and manipulative ways to get people to fund their lifestyles. I think it's quite unfortunate, and I'm grateful that he has taken time out in order to debunk, hopefully once and for all, these challenges. Let me just say finally, people are saying, oh, let them just pity the child and adopt. No, if they do that, they encourage this sort of behavior, whereby people want to take advantage of wealthy people or people of status in order to fund their lifestyle. They shouldn't. It's quite sad that it has to resort to this, but people should stop this behavior. And where possible, if she continues to go on this road, then they should sue her and let her keep quiet. It's unfair.
That's it.
Okay, I said I was interested in the topic because I've always said on this table that there are no illegitimate children in Africa. There is no court of law you will go in Africa where a child will be dismissed as illegitimate. But we are in the age of science, where also the paternity of a child can be easily determined. And it is interesting that what Dr. Adeleke, Adedeji Adeleke, the father of Davido, David Adeleke, is quoting in what has now become Davido Gate. Davido Gate is science, is relying on science. He said when he was approached in 2014, the family decided to carry out, DNA test, which is a scientific approach. They went to Vedic Hospital in Victoria Island, and saliva was taken, not blood, as is being reported by some other interested parties in the matter. And it was established that David Adeleke is not the father of the Anu Akpo. The result came out negative. Now, to be doubly sure, they had another test. 3 for David Adeleke, Davido alone. Then, of course, within the family, it happens that there is a cousin bearing Adebayo David Adeleke. So the family, also pursuing science, said, okay, just in case there is a doubt, because these young men, they go to a nightclub, they do one night stand, maybe it's the other Adebayo David Adeleke. So the B-Red, that's the nickname of that one, also went through DNA test twice. So 5 tests total, both for the main accused person and the cousin. All the results came out negative. And Dr. Adeleke presented that scientific evidence. Then to the emotional part of it, he said he already has 14 grandchildren. Adding one more to the clan is not a problem. But he has to be sure. Yorubas have a word for children like that. It's not illegitimacy, which is the legal term. You know, that you don't want to bring a bastard into your household, no matter how rich you may be. However, as a prominent man in society, he said, okay, he decided to send money to the family. He even enrolled the mother in Adeleke University. The daughter was also given money, and she completed secondary school, just to say, well, you may not be my child, a member of my family, but I can always help as a prominent Nigerian. So that's the basis. But the latest is that he now said yesterday that it is Kemi Olunloyo, Miss Kemi Olunloyo, who opened the social media accounts and who is bringing up this matter that will appear to have been settled again and again. Well, Ms. Olunloyo has come forward to say, yes, she is the one who opened the account and that she's doing investigative journalism. And the reason is that she wants to give voice to the person, the complainant. The complainant, in the birth certificate that Dr. Adeleke said he saw, listed her name not as Ayo Labinjo, I think that's her name, but as Ayo Adeleke, a woman that was not married by the family. So he, as the head of the family, should know whether they paid the dowry for somebody who has adopted the name. So his concern is about misrepresentation, it's about impersonation, and he's saying anybody that goes ahead with it should be warned. His family will have no option but to go to court. However, the Miss Labinjo is insisting that Davido, they had a one-night stand. That should be a lesson to young men and young women. Why should you subject yourself to a one-night stand? And then science has said, okay, even if you are a one-night stand female, science can confirm whether the product of the penetration of the female Homo sapien, you know, is the result that is being presented. And science has said that is not the result. So I think that the matter speaks for itself. It should be laid to rest, and people should just learn lessons from it. Not just women, but also our young men.
Preach it.
Who are looking for free, what do they call it in Yoruba? Do free? No, that's what they call it. They call it do free. Okay. You know, so young men should be advised. Young ladies should also not constitute themselves into the animal sounds of the neighborhood. I don't want to interpret that. But I think the matter is straightforward. Science is the major protection. And I think, well, it looks like the rich also cry.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow, that's a mouthful, Dr. Abati and Ayo. Thank you for that. And I think also a big takeaway is that intimate relations should come with a responsibility for both parties. So let everybody be guided. Now to Muhammadu Sanusi II, Emir of Kano, who has commenced lectures at Northwest University in Kano as a 200-level law student. Sanusi joined other students for lectures on Tuesday, dressed in a black flowing apparel and a white turban, which of course got everybody talking. The Emir's lecture attendance followed a special admission offer granted to him by the university last week, and he was admitted into the Bachelor of Law LLB program in Common and Sharia Law. Sanusi is a PhD holder and former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria and has remained a prominent voice in public life. Now, you know, you see him in this classroom, Ayo, but I think a lot of the responses and the reactions were that people were worried because there was an instance where he wrote his name in the attendance book. And people are saying, should we still be writing our names in attendance book with pen and paper in Nigerian universities at this age? And, you know, the state of the classroom as well. Is there more that can be done for our universities to be more befitting? But, of course, the good story and the happy story of him returning to the classroom.
Very great observation. And, you know, on that note, let me speak to that. First of all, the Emir has demonstrated time and time again that he's a lifelong learner, and irrespective of the heights or achievements or experiences, that he has, he still has a thirst for knowledge. And that's an example for many people. And a great example, particularly for someone from the north, where we've talked about the challenges that they face with regards to people, you know, children going to school, out of school children, and encouraging people through role modeling that education is still the pathway for success in life. So on that note, excellently demonstrated. He's at Northwest University, one of 2 universities. He also chose a university in Kano State, where he's Emir. But one of the good things of having prominent people like him going back to the classroom is that we have an opportunity for them to see firsthand some of the challenges that must be addressed, especially people that have the ears of people in power, and not just going into classes like this, but to have good conversations around how we can help for the future generation to have a better experience in the classroom. So I'm hoping that in addition to gaining knowledge at Northwest University, he would leave a mark of change that would catalyze, you know, a change in education sector in Kano State as a whole, and would ripple to other parts of the, you know, the region, and perhaps even in Nigeria. So to your question around, should we now look at technology? Absolutely. Can his presence in the classroom engineer that change? Absolutely. So maybe we should encourage more people to go back to the classrooms and see what the state is, and hopefully they can champion change and moving forward in the classrooms. So kudos to him. He's a great example. And like I said earlier this year, I want to go back to the classroom, so this is another encouragement to go back there and continue to learn lifelong.
That's right. You never stop learning. Now let's go to another trending story from a prominent individual as well, former Lagos State Governor and immediate past Minister of Works Babatunde Fashola, who has dismissed claims that he holds dual citizenship, declaring that he remains firmly Nigerian by choice, conviction and identity. Fashola made the declaration on Tuesday in Abuja during his keynote address at the Nigeria Reputation Summit 2026, organized by the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, where he spoke extensively on national identity, migration, patriotism, and Nigeria's global image. Well, of course, this generated a lot of response. This user on X, Bashir, said, "Wow, that's surprising. Someone of Fashola's caliber not having US or other countries' citizenship, astonishing." Well, Smart also commented and said, "What is dual citizenship when you have money?" Dr. Abati, people are saying that, well, when you have all the comforts and conveniences around you, it's very easy to be proudly Nigerian and to not have to look for dual citizenship or Plan B, as many call it. What's your take on this?
Okay, very quickly. The former governor of Lagos State, former Minister of Works, Babajide Fashola, SAN, was commenting on issues like migration, identity, visa policy, patriotism, and Nigeria's global image. And it was in that context that, one, he addressed the issue of visa restrictions. And he said Nigeria should not be apologetic. Nigeria should not be a country that will be begging other countries to allow its people to have access. Nigeria should engage with the rest of the world from a position of confidence and pride. And I think that not too many people will disagree with that Nigeria should be confident enough to say, this is where we stand. We are not a country that exports criminals. We're a country of people who have a lot to add to the world in terms of growth and development. And then he went on to talk about his own personal choice, to say, look, he doesn't have dual nationality. He doesn't have dual citizenship because he believes in Nigeria. He has received all his education here in Nigeria, and the nation's reputation is shaped by its own people. And that we all have a shared responsibility to defend our country and to behave in a manner. And if there are any problems, we also have a shared responsibility to confront those problems. And that's how a country can build a reputation. And I think, again, he's right in that regard when he says dual nationality is not what defines you. After all, in the United States, there is a conversation now that initiated by President Trump that if you have dual nationality, you have to make a choice. You cannot say you belong to Nigeria, you also belong to the United States. When you don't get opportunities in Nigeria, you come and use your American passport to come and collect benefits. So what the former minister, former governor was saying is clearly very realistic. And I think that's the context people should see. There may be other Nigerian leaders, senators and all that, who have dual nationality, okay? But he is saying, speaking for himself, that patriotism is important in that regard. He's talking about belief in your own country, even if our laws make it possible for you to have dual nationality. But it's a matter of personal choice and of an example. Just the same way in which the Sultan, the Emir, the second Kano, was showing an example for young people in an environment where a lot of out-of-school children are running into over 11 million. And then you see the second Kano himself still going to school with a PhD, with all that he has achieved. That is supposed to inspire younger people. Absolutely. But about his uniform, law faculties have uniforms. Maybe eventually he will wear the uniform.
But at least he got the color code right.
He got the color code right. But the significance of his example is what I think is more important. In any case, law lecturers don't mind. Whether you're a general, you are a sultan, you are a monarch, you are a former head of state, they don't care. Yeah. You know, it's a faculty of law. They treat everybody equally. You know, after all, a former head of state, two-time head of state, President Uba Sani, went back to school to get PhD. The lecturers will not look at your face. You put in the work, you get the degree.
So you think the lecturer will ask him to stay back to repeat any...
No, you were saying he had to register for attendance. Look at Unilag here. When I was there. If you don't meet the required number of days that you must be in class, you will not be allowed to write exam in the faculty of law. You will see the names there. If you don't see your name on that list, nobody is going to allow you to enter. So that's the kind of discipline that faculties of law all over the country determine. Once they sent me out because I wasn't wearing a white...
They sent you out?
I wasn't wearing a white shirt. I wasn't wearing a white shirt. The man said, sir, you are not properly dressed. Please, you can't write my exam. When I got outside, 5 people had removed their shirts for me to wear. I had to wear somebody else's shirt. That's the culture. And I'm sure he's distinguishing, a man, and he will respect the rules.
Absolutely.
So I have a cheeky question for Mr. Fashola. Do his children have dual citizenship?
Well,
no, he's speaking for himself.
I know what he said. I was speaking about being patriotic.
He's the one in public service.
I know I said cheeky.
Yes.
Because he's saying that you should be proud of your country. I hope that everybody...
I personally
go and do investigative journalism.
Anybody in office
like your sister.
Shouldn't have a plan B.
Kemi Olu lawyer. Go and do investigative journalism.
Thank you so much. That's all we've got on What's Trending.
Is that all?
That's all.
Oh, okay.
Our time is up.
And that's all on today's edition of The Morning Show.